Your gut lining is disappearing. I always figured bloating was just part of being in my 40s, like back pain and forgetting why I walked into a room. Just part of the deal. Nobody told me that the real problem wasn't what I was eating. It was that my gut wall was actively breaking down, and I was the one doing it, 3 meals a day. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why your gut wall is breaking down, and the 8 mechanisms to rebuild it that most doctors never connect to how you actually feel every day. Your gut lining is a single layer of cells, roughly the thickness of a human eyelash, and it is the only physical barrier standing between your bloodstream and everything sitting inside your intestines. When it's healthy, it works like a highly selective gate. Nutrients get through, everything else stays out. But when it gets damaged, that gate develops gaps. Bacteria, undigested food particles, and inflammatory compounds start slipping into the bloodstream. Your immune system sees them, identifies them as foreign invaders, and fires off an inflammatory response. Not once, every single day, on repeat. Leaky gut, actual physical gaps opening up in your digestive wall, has been linked to chronic bloating, persistent fatigue, skin flare-ups, joint pain, and brain fog that no amount of coffee fixes. This isn't fringe territory. It's a measurable breakdown in a physical structure that most doctors never check because there's no standard test on a routine blood panel. The biggest drivers are not mysterious. Processed foods loaded with emulsifiers, the chemicals used to extend shelf life and improve texture, degrade the mucus layer that protects the gut wall. Chronic stress raises cortisol, which directly suppresses the proteins that hold gut wall cells together. Regular use of ibuprofen strips away the mucosal lining. Alcohol does the same. Most people in their 40s and 50s are hitting 2 or 3 of these every single day without connecting them to how they feel. Your gut wall is not permanent damage. Those cells replace themselves every 3 to 5 days. The structure is designed to heal fast. But if you keep exposing it to the same triggers, the repair cycle never catches up to the breakdown. The mechanism that actually drives that rebuilding process is something almost nobody in the wellness space talks about. And it starts not with a supplement, but with something you do between meals. The street sweeper nobody talks about. I used to think my stomach growling after lunch meant I needed a snack. So I'd grab a handful of cashews, feel responsible about it, and move on. Turns out I was shutting down the single most important cleaning system in my body, every single time, and calling it a healthy habit. Your small intestine has a built-in janitorial crew called the migrating motor complex, or MMC. It was first identified in fasting research at the Mayo Clinic and described by scientists as the interdigestive housekeeper of the gut. Between meals, the MMC generates powerful, rhythmic waves of muscular contractions that sweep undigested food debris, dead cells, and stray bacteria down and out of the small intestine. Think of it as a pressure washer running through 20 feet of tubing, clearing out everything that doesn't belong there. The MMC only activates when the stomach has been completely empty for roughly 90 minutes. Once it kicks in, the full cleaning cycle takes another 60 to 120 minutes to finish. And the moment any calories hit your stomach, a handful of almonds, a sip of juice, even a so-called gut health drink, the cycle stops immediately and resets back to zero. In modern life, most people never create that window. Breakfast at 7, a snack at 10, lunch at noon, an afternoon coffee with oat milk, dinner at 6, a small treat after. The cleaning crew never gets a full shift. Bacteria that should be flushed out of the small intestine are instead allowed to stagnate and ferment. Over time, this leads to a condition called SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, where bacteria colonize a part of the gut they were never supposed to live in. The result is chronic bloating, gas, and unpredictable digestion that no probiotic is going to fix on its own. Spacing meals 4 to 5 hours apart, with nothing in between, is enough to let the MMC complete a full cleaning cycle. That low rumble you feel mid-afternoon isn't your body screaming for food. That's the sweeper doing its job. So far, your gut wall is thinning, your cleaning crew never gets a shift, and your probiotics are landing in a war zone. It gets more specific from here. The Probiotic Trap. I spent $40 a month on probiotic capsules for 2 years, refrigerated ones. The good kind, or so the label told me. I was basically convinced I was doing something serious for my gut. Turns out I was dropping live bacteria into a toxic wasteland and wondering why nothing changed. The probiotic industry is worth over $70 billion globally, and it is built almost entirely on one idea, that swallowing more good bacteria fixes a damaged gut. The problem is that research doesn't back that up for most people. A landmark study out of the Weizmann Institute of Science tracked what actually happened when healthy people took standard probiotic supplements. In the majority of participants, the bacteria passed straight through without colonizing the gut at all. The researchers called it resistance. The gut environment simply rejected them. Probiotics are living organisms. Like any living thing, they need the right environment to survive. If the gut wall is damaged, the mucus layer is depleted, and inflammation is running high, those bacteria have nothing to anchor to. You're planting seeds in concrete. The seeds aren't the problem, the soil is. This doesn't mean probiotics are useless. Specific strains have strong clinical evidence for specific conditions. But a generic multi-strain capsule from a pharmacy shelf, taken by someone whose gut environment is still broken, is largely a $40 science experiment with a wellness label on it. The more powerful move is fixing the environment first, reducing gut inflammation, rebuilding the mucosal lining, and feeding the bacteria already living there with the right fuel. Once the soil is healthy, the right bacteria, whether from fermented foods like kefir and kimchi or targeted strains, actually have a place to take hold and do something useful. Your gut isn't short on bacteria, it's short on the right conditions for them to thrive. But even with a perfect gut environment, you might still be poisoning your microbiome at 9 p.m. every night without realizing it. Your gut is running on the wrong schedule. I've eaten dinner at 9 p.m. for years and wondered why I felt like a waterlogged sponge by morning, sluggish, bloated, running on fumes before the day even started. Turns out my gut has a hard stop time, and I'd been ignoring it for a decade. Most people think of digestion as a constant background process, always on, always running. It's not. Your gut operates on a strict biological timetable tied to light and darkness. Scientists call it the gut clock axis. Every digestive function, enzyme production, gut contractions, bile release, nutrient absorption, has a peak window, and that window closes well before most people stop eating. A study tracking identical meals eaten at different times found blood sugar spiked 50% higher when the same food was eaten at 8 p.m. versus 8 a.m. Same person, same meal, completely different metabolic response. The gut at night runs at a fraction of its daytime capacity. Slower motility, reduced acid production, weaker muscular contractions. Food that clears the stomach in 2 hours at noon can sit there 4 to 5 hours at night. When food lingers, it ferments. Fermentation feeds opportunistic bacteria and generates compounds that irritate the intestinal barrier, the same wall you're trying to rebuild. You can eat perfectly healthy food and still create an inflammatory environment just by eating it at the wrong time. Your gut bacteria produce roughly 90% of the body's serotonin, which directly regulates melatonin and sleep quality. Late meals throw off the activity cycle of those bacteria, serotonin output drops, and sleep suffers. Poor sleep raises cortisol the next morning. Elevated cortisol breaks down the intestinal barrier and increases cravings for processed food. Each step makes the next one worse. Pulling your last meal back to at least 3 hours before bed gives the gut the overnight window it's biologically designed to use for repair. The eating window matters, but there's another switch most people never think to flip, and it's located nowhere near your stomach. The garden you're accidentally killing. Most people trying to fix their gut are focused on subtraction, cutting gluten, cutting dairy, cutting sugar, but the gut microbiome doesn't respond to removal, it responds to variety. And the average American diet is quietly starving it to death one repetitive meal at a time. Your gut is home to roughly 38 trillion bacteria, representing thousands of different species. Each species has a preferred food source, specific types of plant fiber that it ferments into compounds called short-chain fatty acids. Those compounds lower gut inflammation, strengthen the intestinal barrier, and regulate immune function. But different bacteria eat different things. The bacteria that thrive on onion fiber can't survive on broccoli alone. The ones that prefer walnut fiber need something completely different from the ones that feed on raspberries. The American Gut Project analyzed the microbiomes of thousands of participants and found one factor that predicted gut health more consistently than any other. Not whether someone ate organic, not whether they took supplements, it was the number of different plant species consumed per week. People eating 30 or more different plants had dramatically more diverse, resilient microbiomes than those eating 10 or fewer. 30 sounds like a lot, It isn't. Herbs count. Spices count. Seeds, nuts, and legumes all count. A handful of pumpkin seeds on a salad that already has 3 vegetables, 2 herbs, and a grain gets you halfway there before dinner. The mistake most people make is eating a large amount of 1 or 2 healthy foods and thinking that covers it. A giant bowl of spinach every day feeds only the spinach-eating bacteria, while the rest of the ecosystem slowly collapses. Diversity of input creates diversity of output, and a diverse microbiome is one that can actually defend itself. Feed the garden wide, not just deep. But you can feed 30 plants a week and still shut digestion completely off, with one wire most people never think to check: the nerve that's running the show. You can eat the right foods, space your meals perfectly, and still wonder why your digestion feels completely broken. If the wiring between your brain and your gut is frayed, none of the other work matters. And for most people living with chronic stress, that wire is frayed constantly. Your brain and gut are physically connected by the vagus nerve, a long branching nerve that runs from the base of your skull down through your chest and into your abdomen. It's a two-way communication highway, but the direction of traffic is controlled entirely by your stress level. When your nervous system detects a threat, a looming deadline, a difficult conversation, a scroll through bad news, it shifts into fight or flight mode. Blood flow moves away from the digestive organs and toward the muscles. Stomach acid drops. Gut contractions slow down. Digestion is treated as a luxury the body can't afford right now. The modern version of stress never fully turns off. It's not a tiger chasing you for 2 minutes. It's a low-grade alarm running all day. That means millions of people are sitting down to eat while their digestive system is effectively powered down. Food sits, it ferments, gas builds, the gut wall takes another hit. The switch that reverses this is breathing, specifically a slow exhale that's longer than the inhale. This directly stimulates the vagus nerve and signals the nervous system to shift into rest and digest mode. 3 slow breaths before a meal. Exhale longer than you inhale physically changes how the stomach responds to food. It's not a wellness trend, it's basic autonomic physiology. The longest-lived populations on Earth treat meals as a slow, deliberate ritual. That's not tradition for tradition's sake. Their nervous systems are actually online when they eat. You can upgrade every ingredient on your plate and still undo it by eating in the wrong state. Your food choices, your meal timing, your nervous system, all connected. The last 2 sections are about what's attacking the system from the outside. The chemical bomb you're swallowing daily. Buying organic kale and washing it down with tap water full of chlorine is the nutritional equivalent of scrubbing your floor and then mopping it with bleach. Great effort. Completely undermined. Most people focused on gut health are thinking about what to add. More fiber, more fermented foods, more supplements. But the gut microbiome is under constant chemical attack from sources that never come up in wellness conversations. Until that assault stops, the rebuilding process is always fighting upstream. Pesticides are the first problem. Many conventional crops are treated with chemicals engineered to disrupt the biological systems of living organisms. When those residues are consumed regularly, they interact with gut bacteria the same way they interact with their intended targets. The Environmental Working Group's Dirty Dozen list identifies the highest residue offenders. Strawberries, spinach, grapes, and apples sit at the top every year. Tap water is the second and the most overlooked. Municipal water is chlorinated to kill bacteria in the pipes, which is necessary for public safety. But drinking chlorinated water all day introduces a mild antimicrobial into the gut on a continuous loop. A basic carbon filter removes the majority of it with 0 lifestyle disruption. Choosing organic for the highest residue produce and filtering your drinking water removes the daily chemical load that quietly undoes everything else you're doing right. Stop the attack first, then the rebuilding actually sticks. Your gut can survive bad food choices and recover. What it cannot recover from easily is something most people dismiss as a personal preference, not a biological requirement. Sleep is a gut protocol. Everyone tracking their gut health is logging meals, timing their eating windows, and reading ingredient labels. Almost nobody is treating sleep like the non-negotiable biological requirement it actually is, even though the gut's entire repair cycle runs on it. Your gut wall rebuilds itself during sleep, specifically during slow wave sleep, the deepest stage. The tight junction proteins that seal the gaps in the intestinal barrier, the mucus layer that protects it, the clearing of inflammatory compounds, all of it happens in that window. Cut sleep to 5 or 6 hours consistently, and the repair cycle never finishes. The breakdown accumulates faster than the body can reverse it. The bacteria living in your gut also follow a circadian rhythm. Different species are active at different hours, producing different compounds on a schedule. When sleep is shortened or fragmented, that schedule collapses. The result is reduced production of butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid that is the primary fuel source for gut lining cells. Less butyrate means a weaker intestinal barrier, more permeability, and more inflammation. Every single night. 7 to 9 hours isn't a wellness suggestion. For the gut, it's an operating requirement. The body performs repair work during sleep that it is physically incapable of doing while you're awake and digesting. You can follow every other step in this video and still wonder why nothing is changing, if sleep is the variable you keep negotiating with yourself about. If your gut has been sending you signals you've been ignoring, the bloating, the fatigue, the brain fog, now you know those aren't random, and every mechanism in this video works together to fix it. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, and if this helped you, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow. Drop a comment below and tell me which one of these 8 sections hit closest to home for you.